performance. Usually I'm up on stage, but then I need a guide dog to try to get me out and all, so I said, I'm just popping down with the people. I'll be with the people today. So just a couple things for you. You probably, some of you are like, who the hell is this person? I'm Brady Shepard, I'm the director and theater person. Wow, can you tell it's been a long week? Theater director. If you would, please for me, and I need to do this right now too. Take out your cell phone. We didn't have these in 1840s. Somehow we had microphones, but now we're cell phones. Please turn it to off, because not only does it disrupt our microphones, but it also is just a distraction to everyone around you. And I promise, the show is short. You will live without Snapchat or Twitter or anything else for an hour and 45 minutes. I swear you will. I do ask whether you are vaccinated or not, whatever your belief is on the Rona. I don't care, you do you, boo. But the rule per Sylvania schools, you gotta have your mask on. We don't have a choice around that, so please make sure. I know that the diaper is a cool look. Doesn't help anybody. I know that this makes it easier to breathe. Not how we wear it. So I know it's a pain in the butt. I know we're so tired of these, me too. But we gotta wear them to keep everybody safe. And because it's the rules that we have to follow right now. There will be a 10 to 15 minute intermission at that time. We have restrooms over this way. We have concessions over here. And then right outside the doors are our star brands. So if you want to send some love back to a cast member, a crew member, or anybody, we will take that back for you. We have roses from Beautiful Blooms by Jen, as well as candy for sale for them. A special thank you to Firehouse Subs, to Case Table for helping feed our students this week, to Impulse Creative Photography. If you are looking for a photographer for weddings or for senior portraits, they are the ones who hook us up and do such a good job, as well as to Beautiful Blooms by Jen, who has some of the most gorgeous flowers in the world. I know there's something I'm forgetting because there always is, but at this time I'm going to thank you for supporting high school theater, for coming tonight, and I hope you enjoy the show.
And what were we talking about, Lucy?
Being married.
Berries, did you say?
Yeah. When you don't want to be. When you're still breathing.
Still breathing?
In the paper, Mrs. Dawson. It's fact. Proven, incontestable, undeniable.
What are you going on about?
Go on, tell her. It's all here in black and white. The full account.
Full account of what?
Premature burial.
Premature what?
Burial. In the ground. She wasn't dead.
What are you going on about? Who wasn't dead?
It's a most unusual case. It seems the young lady presented all the ordinary appearances of death. She was put in her family vault, which, for 3 subsequent years, was undisturbed.
I've heard quite enough, thank you. I'll read it for myself. Or maybe I won't.
How am I supposed to hear the end of the story? I have a feeling Mrs. Dawson will use that newspaper to start a fire in the oven.
No concern of yours, Lucy. Either way, it's a cold night. The ladies from the theater will be half frozen.
Oh, yes, ma'am, right away. You will save the paper.
Lucy?
You can be certain the theater is mostly empty tonight. Bad weather doesn't sell tickets.
Good evening, husband.
So which is night, Mrs. Dawson?
Cup of hot cider will fix you right up, my dear.
That's my wife's solution to any problem. Hot cider.
Did you happen to pass the theater?
I did. Norman told me there were more people on the stage than in the seats. The stalls were empty.
Winter's not the best time to play Baltimore. In winter, the theater's too cold.
I thought afterwards complain about the summer. The theaters are too hot. If you ask me, there's no best time for Baltimore as far as actors are concerned. Anything in the paper?
Something quite astonishing. It seems some unfortunate lady got herself buried alive.
Why'd she want to do something like that? I've always said females are cool little creatures. Can't imagine what the good Lord had in mind when he created them.
The hot cider will make you feel better, Mr. Dawson.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Dawson. You're welcome.
You can have the paper if you'd like to read it for yourself.
It's not the sort of thing I fancy when I think about reading. Buried alive? That is great, that is.
Back to that again, are we? You mustn't excite Lucy with such tales. She has such a wild imagination. Too much imagination can be a dangerous thing.
I don't think I can endorse that position.
She was fascinated with that newspaper article.
It's the sort of thing that appeals to young people. Uncommon, unusual. It's the sort of thing we adults object to on principle. However, according to the journalist, this premature burial is not an isolated case.
Then it should be. What was that?
You mean the storm?
I heard someone knocking.
Nonsense.
It's the wind.
It must be the young ladies from the theater.
It's nice to see artists walking.
Any day now, I expect to have the lead role in a new production of King Lear.
If I were you, I'd take any role in any play. Your bill is long overdue.
I suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
You couldn't have said it better. William Shakespeare wrote those words himself.
He did. Mr. Dawson, my word is my bond. You will have your pound of flesh.
It's not flesh I'm interested in. It's rent.
My being at liberty is only a temporary condition. My services will shortly be in great demand. I'm expecting a bank job from a famous producer by the end of the week.
Wouldn't be the first time I've heard that.
I assure you.
Careful with her. The wind's bitter cold. She must be exhausted. Put her on the sofa. She must be freezing.
What's wrong?
We were on our way to Washington, but the storm caught us. Our carriage overturned in a ditch. Barely escaped with our lives.
Sit down, Newton. Look as if you're about to fall.
Sip of this will do you good. Warm the blood and chase the chill. Better?
Should I fetch a doctor?
Might be wise.
That will not be necessary.
But sir, she's in a bad way. A doctor should be summoned.
I repeat, that will not be necessary.
Surely you won't continue on.
As soon as the storm passes,
But your carriage.
I will make other arrangements.
At least permit her to spend the night. She needs time to gain her strength.
You may be right.
She'll bless you for it.
With morning comes the sun.
Not in Baltimore.
You have accommodations.
We'll find something. The theater season is on, and many of the artists stay here.
What is the name of this inn?
The Raven. I own a lock, stock, and cracker barrel. Both mine sweat.
Odd name for a tavern. The Raven?
Oh, we used to keep the Raven behind the serving table. He lived to be a fine old feathered gentleman. Even our black cat loved him.
I think you better get her upstairs.
Yes, yes, by all means.
We'll have to take your room.
My room?
You heard Mrs. Dawson. We're full. You're not not paid up.
I told you only a temporary condition.
In that case, you can temporarily sleep in the kitchen. Cozy and warm in there. You won't suffer.
But the indignity, Mr. Dawson, Richard III sleeping in the kitchen.
It's a fine room, my dear. I'll get you some hot cider. Some broth. I'll soon have you smiling and fit.
My wife's a wonder when it comes to nursing.
I'm most grateful for your concern.
You can pay?
Yes, will this be enough?
When that bank round comes through, I shall seriously consider leaving the premises.
As you say, when the bank back comes due. Now, sir, if you be so good as to sign here.
An outrage.
Must be pressing business in Washington to have you up on a night like this.
That is my affair. What is the wine of the house?
No wine, sir. Ale and cider. Wait a moment. There is a bottle. Here it is. A sailor from a Portuguese ship left it. I thought he returned, but that was months ago. Perhaps it will do. Amontillado.
I'll take it.
The whole bottle?
The whole bottle. Unless you have some objection.
No, none at all. My trade is renting and selling.
We shall depart before sun.
The storm might not be over.
In that case, we travel with the storm.
He's a rum customer. What do you make of him?
Quiet. Might cure you.
In that case, we travel with the storm. Not to give one the creeps.
There's nothing creepy about his money.
He could be an escaped lunatic or a murderer, who knows what.
What he happens to be is a cash customer. I'm partial to cash customers. That was sort of quality.
How do you know we won't murder us all in our sleep?
I don't. But then how do I know that you won't do the same?
I am not a murderer. I, sir, am an actor.
The critics on the Morning Globe said you murdered Shakespeare.
What do critics know, ingrates?
If you say so.
Mark my words, Mr. Dawson. I have good instincts when it comes to strangers. That man is up to something. Something dark. Something sinister.
The young lady got back from the theater.
Oh, we had such good fun walking in the rain, splashing in the puddles like children. My slipper is so clear through. I suspect we'll catch our death.
The cider's hot. I'll be right a minute.
Not much of a house out here.
Oh, almost no audience at all. You might as well have been performing Richard III. Oh, we gave a splendid performance all the same. Never sang or danced better.
Even got an encore. Encore?
Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on his pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni.
Some audiences are easily satisfied.
Listen to the vinegar bottle.
You call that an encore? Yankee Doodle.
What would you call it?
Prattle. Sound with no fury, signifying nothing.
People like a bit of fun when they come to the theater.
As artists, we should work to elevate the audience's taste.
I suppose you think all audiences should sit in the theater and listen to you spout Shakespeare badly.
I do not spout Shakespeare badly. I speak with feeling.
With you badly and with feeling are the same thing.
Whale spout. I am not a whale. I should know better than to conduct civilized conversation with dancers.
I peppered in a dash of Zanzibar cinnamon. Off the clipper only last week.
Oh, you are the thoughtful one, Mr. Dawson.
The raven is just like home. You and Mrs. Dawson take such good care of her.
We like people from the stage. Whenever an outsider who isn't an artist comes to our door, we tell them we'll fill up. No room. Try the gold bug down the street.
We drink to you and Mrs. Dawson. Long may you reign as keepers of the raven.
Forevermore.
Aren't they lovely young things?
Dancers. I'd soon as rent rooms to singing fish.
Oh, you are out of sorts this evening.
It's not our fault you're at liberty. Maybe you should give up Shakespeare and learn to dance.
I'd sooner starve.
Oh, why not become a juggler or an acrobat? Acrobats are always in demand.
So are rat catchers, but I don't intend to become one.
I feel depressed. Oh, poor man.
I've had to take his room.
Why?
That's my affair.
If it's an issue of money, we could lend you 3 coppers to tie you over.
Don't discuss money matters in public. It's vulgar.
She was only trying to help. As artists, we have to stick together.
The truth of the matter is simple enough. Some poor woman came in from the storm half dead by looks for. She needed a room for wrestling. He'll sleep in the kitchen.
Like the cat.
I don't have a cat anymore.
You do now.
I finished upstairs. I gotta give you this. Oh! You'll find your bed's warm. Thank you, Lucy. You are a good girl. Do you read me the end, Mr. Dawson?
You have a taste for the morbid.
I don't know what morbid is.
Reading about about some unfortunate lady who's buried before her time? That's morbid.
Are you talking about that premature burial?
Yes, that's the one.
I've read the cargo listings and the port news. Here's your bit of morbid, you see.
People in the streets are talking about it. I don't want to hear it. Won't you please read it? You have such a good voice.
A voice that has wasted on the insensitive.
Pay him no mind. Bring it here, Lucy. I'll read it.
It starts there.
The wife of one of our most respected citizens, a lawyer of eminence, was seized with a sudden and unaccountable illness which completely baffled the skill of her physicians. After much suffering, she died, or was believed to be dead.
No, I've already heard that part.
No one suspected, indeed, or had any reason to suspect that she was not actually dead.
Well, what comes after that? That's the part I want to hear.
She presented all the ordinary appearances of death. The face assumed the usually pinched and sunken outline, the lips the usual marble pallor, the eyes were lusterless. There was no one. Pulsation had ceased. The lady was deposited in her family vault, which for 3 subsequent years was undisturbed. At the expiration of this term, it was opened for the reception of a sarcophagus, but a tearful shock awaited the husband, who personally threw open the door. I don't know if I want to go on.
Oh, please?
I don't think I can.
Let me. No one, expiration, sarcophagus, fearful shock, through open the door. Here it is. As its portal smoked outwardly back, some white appareled object fell rattling within his arms. What was it? You can't stop now!
Go on, continue.
I can't.
What's wrong?
What happened next? What was at the portal? You'll have to read it for yourself. It's too terrible.
Perhaps, if you will permit me.
You know something of this case, sir?
I am somewhat of an authority on the subject of premature burial.
Not something they give you a diploma in, is it?
No, they do not.
What was it, sir? That object inside the vault.
It was the skeleton of the poor man's wife in her unmolded shroud.
Oh!
Obviously, she had awoken in the vault and realized the near hopelessness of her situation. She climbed the stairs, weak, desperate.
It's horrible.
On the uppermost steps leading down into the chamber, there was a large fragment of the coffin. She had tried to use it to attract attention by striking it against the door of her tomb. While she was thus occupied, she probably fainted, or possibly died.
Oh, sheer terror.
That is not improbable. And falling, her funeral gown became entangled in some ironwork protruding from the wall. Thus she remained standing dead. Thus she rotted, erect, as if waiting for someone to open that door.
Newspapers said such cases were not uncommon. Do you know of others?
One other,
As strange as this case.
stranger,
Recently?
quite,
No. Another young woman?
quite young.
Did you know what?
Briefly,
Nearby?
close enough that I shall never forget the location.
You said this case was stranger than the one in the newspaper.
That is so.
Who would you tell us? I want to hear, but I'm afraid to listen. Take my hand.
What do you say, innkeeper?
I'm for listening.
As am I. None of us will sleep tonight, not with the wind howling outside the shutters like a banshee.
So be it. But be warned, there is no turning back. It was the whole of a dark and dull, soundless day in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens. I had been passing alone through a singularly dreary tract of country, and at length I found myself, as the shades of the evening drew on, within the view of the melancholy house of Usher.
I'm certain I heard the hoofs of a horse.
I heard nothing.
I don't like being out in these parts. Not at night.
and then we can return.
Why you should want to bottle up the water from these parts is something I'll never understand.
That is why I am a doctor and you are servants girl.
I know my place, if that's what you mean.
It's essential that I carry out my research.
All those little bottles filled with swamp water and muck, always up to your elbows in something.
Those little bottles, as you call them, are test tubes. No one could accuse you of having a scientific mind.
Don't want one. I've seen what goes on in your clinic. Things bubbling and belching on the burner. Horrid smells. Who knows what else?
A few more samplings of this water and we can return. If I can prove my theory, I might be able to help your employer.
Dead water! Filthy stuff! It's stagnant! It's so much around the house of Usher.
Nothing is ever stagnant. If I were to put a drop of water under the microscope, you'd be amazed by the universe you'd see.
What sort of a universe?
Microbes.
Microbes? What are they?
Think of them as invisible alligators, unseen serpents, wonders denied the naked eye.
I don't like it when you talk like that. It's bad enough having to work for the Ushers. I'm scared to death half the time. Do you have to rub salt in the wound?
There's one thing, as a medical man, I would never do.
What's that?
Add sodium chloride to a cut. Extremely painful.
Sodium?
It's salt.
Well, if you mean salt, Doctor, why not say so?
Your problem is simple enough. You've too much imagination. You're emotional. Your mind is a fertile field for wandering.
I know what I see in that house. I know what I hear.
What do you see, and what do you hear?
Things.
It's difficult to put a label on things. Can't you be more specific?
Work's not easy to find in these parts. It's either I work at the house of Usher, or it's back to the farm for me. Backbreaking labor, that is. But I can tell you one thing, Doctor. If things don't take a turn for the better, I'm going back to the chickens and the pigs. It will be a relief to wake up to the sound of a rooster crowing rather than the moans and rhythm of dead water dripping from the walls.
I'm finished for the night.
Good.
Hello?
I told you there was someone moving about in the dark.
How odd. There are seldom any visitors here.
I saw the light from your lantern. I'm afraid I've lost my way. My horse threw me and galloped off.
Most likely you'll find him in the morning.
I'm worried for him. I've never known the animal to behave so spooked. It seemed as though he smelled something on the night air and he lost control. I couldn't hold him to the rein.
You said you were thrown.
Yes, but not hurt. Not even a bruise.
I'm Dr. Fortunato. I have a patient at the House of Usher near here.
Then I am in luck. That is my destination.
You have business there?
Roderick Usher is a boyhood friend.
Didn't know Roderick had any boyhood friends.
Well, we haven't seen each other in years. We went to school together. Is something wrong, Doctor?
He's not in the best of health. Is he expecting you, sir?
Yes, he wrote me a letter. I have it here, somewhere.
We don't doubt you, young man. It's just the thought of Roderick communicating with anyone outside the walls is peculiar.
Why? What's happened?
If Roderick is expecting you, I suggest we be on our way.
Dr. Fortunato,
What is it?
forgive me. You spoke of the walls.
Yes.
The way you spoke of them, they sounded like they were an asylum or a prison of some sort.
Walls are what we make of them, young man.
The walls are wonders. I've never seen such a house with such walls. In the moonlight, you can see the shadows of the house of Usher.
What a dark, brooding mansion.
Damp vines and moss cover everything.
It's a very old house. There's extensive decay. The individual stones are crumbling.
I've never seen anything quite like it. Gloom hangs off of those walls like a cloak. What's that odd smell?
It comes from the water surrounding the place. The vapors, they exude a heavy odor.
Stagnant water. That's what it is. Dead water.
I tried to tell her there's no such thing as dead water. She'll hear none of it. Come along.
I'll send someone from the stable to find your horse.
He'll have trouble. There's such little light.
When you work at the House of Usher, you get used to seeing things in the dark. And then, you wish you hadn't.
Here we are, Mr. Roderick. The soup is not seasoned. I know you don't like strong flavors, but it's hot and nourishing all the same. Mr. Roderick? Mr. Roderick, sir. You must eat something. Sir? Off roaming the corridors, I suppose. What's the use of cooking for the likes of him? Rats eat better.
The master has a visitor.
Visitor? I don't believe it.
He wrote a letter to a boyhood friend. He's with the doctor now.
Better inform Mr. Roderick, but if you can find him, you're a better hand than me.
Gone again, has he?
The soup cooling by the second.
Prowling about the house, I imagine. Poor Madeline Usher. She grows weaker and weaker. More like a shadow than a woman of flesh and blood.
Here now, girl. What are you going to do with this apple?
I'm going to eat it. That's what I'm going to do. I don't like to see food go to waste. Every day I bring in a fresh bowl and it's never touched. I think it's back to the farm for me. Enough's enough. Do you know what I heard him doing last night?
Who?
Who do you think? Mr. Roderick.
Well, do I have to ask?
Well, I was on my way to the tower, and
What were you doing up there?
I was going to dust the picture frames. All the Usher ancestors. The last time I was in that gallery, the dust was thick enough to plant a crop of potatoes.
Get on with it.
Well, I was rounding the tower steps when I heard Mr. Roderick talking to someone.
Who?
Well, I couldn't see, could I? I hadn't turned the corner yet. I wish I hadn't, I can tell you that, because when I did, I saw Mr. Roderick talking to...
Talking to who? Tell me.
It wasn't a who, it was a what. The walls.
You can't talk to the walls.
Well, I'll tell that to Mr. Roderick the next time I hear him carrying on a conversation with the stones of Usher.
That is a march hymn. Dr. Fortunato won't say, but you can bet your last penny that's what he thinks.
Your visits might be just the thing Usher needs.
I'm anxious to help in any way I can.
He's not here, sir, the master.
Should I try to find him?
Please, do.
He ate nothing at lunch and nothing at dinner. Soup's as good as cold.
He'll eat when he's hungry. You know he lacks appetite and dislikes being reminded or scolded. You may go.
Yes, sir.
Please, have a seat. What is your impression of the place?
Well, it's hardly a cheery place. It's so isolated and lonely.
To say the least.
I think the word I'm trying to avoid using is morbid. If I understand you correctly, Roderick has fallen victim to melancholia.
Family traits, a pensive sadness, a depression of the spirits. All the Ushers have fallen victim to it.
If that is so, then the House of Usher would be a poor place to reside. It only reinforces sadness and depression.
Precisely. May I offer you something to drink?
Thank you.
Roderick's father died of the malady, as did his grandfather. They wouldn't leave the place either. However, my patient is not Roderick Usher.
Then who is it?
It's his sister, Madeline.
Roderick always referred to his sister as the Lady Madeline.
A carryover from some childhood game he played.
Is the lady cursed with the same affliction?
Her disease is quite different. For some time now, I've devoted myself to the study of catatonia and its cure. It's my belief that many people are buried before their time because it is assumed they are dead, when in reality they're simply in a state of suspended animation, victims of catalepsy.
They're still alive, you mean?
Yes. In that regard, I must caution you about something. I will be gone for some days, and I have other patients and other work. You do intend to remain?
I don't know for how long.
If you could manage to stay, it might mean salvation for your friend, a true mercy.
I'll do my best.
I have already instructed Roderick, but should the lady in question take a turn for the worse, you must make absolutely certain she exhibits not the slightest hint of life.
She's that close to dying?
She must not have any warmth of the flesh, no pulse, no breath, nothing. Should disaster strike, she must not be buried below the ground. I must have your word on it.
I give you my word.
Excellent.
My dear friend, you've got my letter.
I came as soon as I could.
Oh, I had almost given up hope. You have no idea how pleased I am. Oh, how grateful.
I'm sorry to hear you've been ill.
I felt if I did not see you, I would have surely been doomed.
Come, come, Roderick. One mustn't be so somber. Life is meant to be enjoyed.
Oh, if that were only possible. I will leave you now, Roderick.
You've chosen to desert me.
I am not deserting you. I have other patients at work. I will return within a fortnight. Rest as much as possible. Do try to eat. Force yourself, if necessary. Yes, yes. A word with you, my friend. Remember what I told you.
I shan't forget.
Try to amuse him in any way possible. Cards, night conversation, anything that will distract him.
I'll do everything I can.
Thank you.
I'm pleased you sent for me.
Are you?
I suppose you came out of curiosity.
I came because you wrote you needed help.
How like you. You were kind to me when we were both students together. So, the doctor has told you I'm a victim of melancholia?
One must fight depression.
You sound as if I had a choice.
Don't you?
No, not.
You enjoy drama too much, Roderick.
I cut all ties to the outside world. I even wrote to my fiancée that our marriage could not be.
I didn't know you were planning marriage.
A charming girl, she was. Whenever she was here, the whole house of Usher seemed less menacing, or less foreboding, I should say.
You speak as though you still love her.
She was everything I could have ever hoped for in a wife. She was tender, loving, compassionate. With her, I would have had companionship.
Then why on earth break off the marriage?
Well, because I am doomed. I saw no reason to doom her along with me.
You're speaking absolute rubbish.
It's quite true.
I refuse to believe it. I refuse to allow you to believe it. You must write to her again.
If I only had a particle of your resolution.
I suggest we take a trip into the city in a day or so. We'll talk over old times. I'll soon have color back in your face. We could attend the theater. You used to enjoy that.
I shall perish.
In the city? How so?
I will never leave this house alive.
We'll have a fine breakfast in the morning, Roderick. I'll speak to your housekeeper. We'll talk over old times. I'll soon have you feeling like your old self.
So do you think this is a home?
Of course. Your problem is that you've been alone too much. We'll talk over old times. We could paint. Do you still paint?
It's one of my few joys, yes.
Splendid. One mustn't give in to despair.
Forgive me. No one must touch me. My skin is so sensitive that the slightest pressure causes me pain. My throat is very dry.
I'll get you a glass.
I hope I'm not disturbing you. I didn't know you would have company.
You must be the Lady Madeleine. We met once very briefly back when your brother was in school.
When my sister, my beloved sister, my sole companion for so long, my last and only relative on this earth, as she departs this vale, I will be the last of the ancient race of the Ushers.
She was like a sleepwalker.
Sometimes she recognizes me, sometimes she does not.
I wonder. I'm tired. Could someone show me to my room?
Dear friend, what must you think of me? My manners must have gone off with my affliction. I shall escort you myself.
Thank you.
Oh, and another thing. If you should hear anything in the night, should come from these walls.
Yes?
Oh, nothing.
Like
you said, we'll discuss this more in the morning.
Hearken to the voices graven. Listen to the call of doom. We, the moss-encrusted bastions, are the stones that make this tomb. The house of Usher. From us of a nation's journey, deadly to sojourners here.
No! She is gone! No! Alone. I'm alone, the last, the hopeless, the frail!
Mr. Roderick, what has happened?
She is gone! The Lady Madeline!
She is found rest. At last.
Then it has come to this. Oh, my sweet dear sister!
Is there anything we can do for you, sir?
No, nothing.
You must be brave.
I have no wish to be brave. I only wish to join her in the tomb, and this misery once and forever. If I only had gone first. Oh, dear sweet sister. Oh, to see you no more. Roderick?
I shall always remember her as a sweet child, innocent and lovely.
Innocent no more. Lovely no more. The Lady Madeline shall never walk the halls of Usher again. I'm desolate.
What is it?
She's dead, sir. Gone.
Are you certain?
See for yourself.
How did it happen?
She came to bid me goodbye. I asked what she meant, but then she smiled and then lay down. I could hear her breathing in the room, as well as her heartbeat. A few moments passed, then all silence.
Quickly, on the mirror. Table, a mirror.
A mirror?
Do as I say.
What are you doing?
Her hand is like ice.
Princess in ice.
How still she is, like a statue. What is that for?
I must make absolutely certain there is no sign of breath. If there is, a thin film of moisture will appear on the glass.
Do you see anything?
No, no! 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 You must aid me, my friend.
Anything. You have only to ask.
You must help me bury her.
She mustn't be buried below the ground, Roderick.
Yes, that is Dr. Fortunato's wish. We shall place the Lady Madeline in one of the vaults.
The family burial ground is exposed to the elements. It will not do for my sister.
We must pray.
Hearken to the voices graven. Listen to the call of doom. We, the moss-encrusted bastions, are the stones that make this tomb. From us of a nation's journey, deadly to sojourners here, our embrace will mock all living. We, the stones of mortal fear, of the death of the house of Usher. We, the granite held by mortar made this man's, steeped in centuries of evil. Now we bid you to the dance of the fall of the house of Usher.
Maybe, maybe not. For all we know, she may have twisted her ankle.
Twisted her ankle? It sounded as if she were being murdered.
We've got to overlook. Come on.
You're the landlord. It's your responsibility. You go. Coward? I am not a coward. I'm a sensible man and a sensitive artist. If anything were to happen to me, the theater would suffer a considerable loss. Scoff if you will, but my public would never forgive me.
I'll have a look.
No need, Mr. Dawson. There's no cause for alarm.
What ails the door?
Get some hot cider.
You didn't know hot cider was good for squeezing.
He must have seen something horrid. I've been in pain.
A stranger entered the room like the hounds of Satan were after him.
That's the way he came charging through the door. His eyes were like burning rubies.
What's happened up there?
He tells me his companion suffers from nightmares and is prone to wake at odd moments and to cry out.
If he tells her stories like the one he told us, I'm not surprised. I just wish she hadn't screamed right when the stranger was getting to the good part.
Lucy!
Why I can't help if I can take to a bit of a morbid, like Mr. Dawson says.
The latch must be stuck again. It's this damp weather. See who's at the door, Lucy.
Do you think I should? I mean, with all that's been going on.
No!
Shall I take it up to her?
It's not for her, it's for me.
Maybe you'd better have another look, Mrs. Dawson.
Forget about upstairs. The gentleman says he's quite capable of calming the poor girl. He knows more of her condition than we do.
When I had the room, you didn't hear any screams.
We didn't hear any bets either.
It's very beautiful.
Good evening, Monsieur Dupont.
I was wise to come to your apartment first thing this morning to make arrangements for shelter. Otherwise, I forced her to spend the night in the storm.
That's a chilling prospect.
But I like the dark. It's the rain that displeases me.
Life is always more interesting in the daylight.
I detest daylight. I prefer to sit behind shutters in a room lighted only by candles, seeing no one, involved only by light.
What is your work? Oh, I hope you're not offended by my question.
Everyone's in a mood tonight.
It's the storm that does it.
Baltimore at night in a storm is a city of enchantment.
Mud puddles and drizzle.
I like to walk dark, gas the streets. I find it excellent. I like sights.
I'll put your traveling bag in the room at the top of the stairs.
It's a small room, Monsieur Dupont, but warm and comfortable.
If you'll sign the ledger. Like I told you this morning, it's our busy season.
Of course.
Are you from Paris?
I am, yes.
An actor?
No.
Singer?
No.
Juggler?
Then you must be a dancer.
Sacre bleu, no.
How disappointing.
You are in the theatrical profession.
I suppose in one sense you might say that. I prefer to stay suburban because I favor locales that are colorful. And unique. What could be more fanciful than a Baltimore inn that caters to magicians, conjurers, musical artists, and ladies? Oh, there it goes.
Oh, you have a way with words, Mr. Dupont. Oh, perhaps you're a dramatist.
No.
Are you on holiday?
No.
Have you arrived directly from Europe?
No.
You are a man of mystery.
The raving is full of mystery tonight.
I have no wish to be a man of mystery, also mystery was my first love.
With words like that, you'll break a woman's heart.
I said mystery, but perhaps I should have said crime.
That's worse than before.
What manner of crime, Monsieur Dupont?
Curious crime. Crime that appears to be no crime at all, at first. I was in New York. Was the news reached me? I made haste for Baltimore at once, on the 2nd of July.
What news?
The item reported in this journal. Surely you read the whole city speaks of it.
What item?
An unfortunate discovery in a tomb.
You mean the premature burial?
I do.
A terrible accident of fate.
Fate? Who can say? An accident? I think not. There was a similar discovery in Strasbourg only 1 year ago. The ruse of premature burials makes for an excellent camouflage. Murder.
Murder!
That is why I'm here, to investigate, to explore, to determine if the lawyer's wife is indeed a victim of fate, or a victim of treachery, as I suspect.
She is a lunatic. Now she'll be on the stairs with a dagger in her hand.
It was cleaned out.
I ask your indulgence. In a moment, the lady will sleep. I know she will not scream out again.
If I can be of some assistance?
There is nothing you can do.
I haven't You, sir, are a policeman.
Bravo!
You mean he's right?
Yes and no.
Either you are a policeman.
Or you're not. How can it be yes and no?
Easily. You see, I work for myself, on my own. Although I've been of help to the Southview police, more than one occasion.
Moral cases mostly.
Mostly, yes.
And what was your most famous case?
I like to think all my cases are famous to me. Let me think. Ah, yes. Once in the Rue Morgue, I was able to discover not only the method of a most unique murder, but the most unique murderer.
Who was murdered?
Mother and daughter by a killer who broke the furniture into slivers of wood as he moved about the room.
He must have been as strong as an angry ox.
Speaking a language no one could understand.
It was probably Dutch. Never can understand Dutch. Once in a while they came down from Manhattan. Might as well be speaking Mohawk.
Well, whenever they speak, they don't break up the furniture. No breaking the chairs here. I should hope not.
We had a Canadian one stay in April. He broke a window.
But he didn't kill anyone.
Why did your unique murderer kill? Robbery?
He had no use for worldly goods
Why not, Monsieur Dupont?
because the murders on the street called the Rue Morgue were committed by
Who, Monsieur Dupont?
a killer who left the room locked from the inside. He managed to escape, nevertheless.
How do you do that?
Perhaps I will tell you later. Little mystic makes for an excellent after-dinner conversation.
I'll be in the kitchen after dinner. No one ever wants to tell me how things turn out.
You have something in common with this gentleman. He tells us an even weirder tale. His visit to the house of Usher.
He knows about premature burial firsthand.
I can assure you, my tale involves nothing as exotic as your locked room mystery. My tale is of darkness, the secrets of the grave.
If your tale is of darkness, perhaps I can show you light. If you wish to take me on the untrodden path that is beyond that more than visit.
Please go on.
I speak of that sorrow which the living love to cherish for the dead. Roderick's spirit was always beating against the gate of the grave. The house of Usher was more of a haunted palace, remote in a dim valley, surrounded by shadowy woods, a place of pride and perversity. Or Roderick. The better part of his heart had been burned away, and he now was possessed by only one thought: the burial of the Lady Madeleine.
You've chosen an unhappy time to visit, Miss Lenore. I only now heard the news. The stable boy informed me. One moment she was alive, the next gone. We can't say her death was unexpected. Dr. Fortunato said it might occur at any time. Sad, but true. Mr. Roderick, how has he accepted his sister's demise? He hasn't. He sits in his room, says nothing, and hears nothing. Well, that is... What are you trying to say? He hears the walls. The walls? How do you mean?
Perhaps I can explain.
It's Mr. Roderick's school friend. If he hadn't been here, there's no telling what the master might have done. He's out of his mind with grief.
You should see if he wants anything.
I'll go. He won't even speak to me. Doesn't even know when I'm in the room. He's acting exactly the way his sister did. Is it that serious?
I'm afraid it is.
I came to make one final plea. We were once happy, Roderick and I. I can't accept the fact that he no longer wishes to marry me.
I'm afraid it's more serious than that. Roderick no longer wishes to live. That is my conviction. I've tried to rouse him from his lethargy, but I'm afraid I've had little success.
When was Madeleine buried?
She'll be buried tonight.
I have chosen a poor time to visit here.
On the contrary, you have selected the ideal time. You must speak with him. You must force him to leave this godforsaken house. I'm convinced it has an evil influence on him. An evil influence like it did on his sister. Like it did on all the Ushers.
I will do whatever I must, whatever I think best. Roderick is a complicated man. Badgering him to leave might not be the wisest course.
I don't agree. However, at this point, anything is worth the effort. He is not expecting you, so be forewarned. The Roderick Usher you knew no longer exists.
I find that hard to accept.
You must resurrect him. Return him to the land of the living.
May I see him?
Of course. But first, another caution.
What is it?
The housekeeper spoke of his preoccupation with the walls.
She said he hears them. The foundation of the house is old and weak. It sinks an inch every year. The settling of the stones has always made disturbing noises.
Roderick believes he can hear the walls. Some of the housekeepers have even witnessed him carrying on conversations.
So you're trying to tell me that Roderick is losing his mind, is that it?
I believe he is dangerously close to that condition. Be careful. Tread softly.
I think I should wait until after the funeral to speak with him.
No, that may be too late.
We the boulders, rocks to the granite, held by mortar, made this mess, steeped in centuries of evil. Now we bid you to the dance. Hearken to the voices graven, listen to the call of doom. We the moss-encrusted bastions are the stones that make this tomb. From us the nation's journey, daring to sojourners here. Our birds will mock all living, we the stones of mortal fear. The death of the house.
Roderick!
Who is it?
Roderick, I know you'll be angry, but I had to come.
Who told you about Madeleine?
No one. I heard of the tragedy when I arrived.
I thought that perhaps you'd seen Dr. Fortunato.
No, not in some months. May I sit?
Oh, yes, what am I thinking? Please do.
I came here because I hope you will reconsider our marriage plans.
That's impossible.
Why won't you marry me?
You read my letter.
I read a confused, bitter, haunted communication. It was difficult to believe you had wrote it.
Oh, I wrote it. Of that, there can be no doubt.
The Roderick Usher I know did not write that letter.
My decision was never to marry. It is my fate to die a bachelor, alone and unloved.
You are not talking sense. Did I displease you in some way?
If only if you had, it would have made writing that letter so much easier.
You wrote that you felt you were a doomed man.
I am.
Ridiculous! You've been seized with some condition of brain fever, some obsession. We must fight obsession, Roderick, each of us in his own way.
The walls will never let me go. They hold me, you know. They will never free me.
Then you must free yourself.
If only if I could.
You must let me help you.
Pointless.
Nothing is pointless. I won't permit it.
Nor you're young, brave, and strong.
You are the same.
I'm not the same! I'm old before my time! I'm frightened and weak.
Then I will be your strength. I have enough for the both of us.
Mac Ace, in time you'll find your reservoir of strength ebbing away at you like the vapors that surround this house.
Listen to me, Roderick. I don't pretend to understand all that has happened. I offer you my love and devotion. Love and devotion are all too rare and should not be dismissed lightly. You loved me before. You will love me again.
You almost said it yourself. I'm not the man you once knew.
Allow me to be the judge of that.
There is nothing you can do.
Remember when you gave parties here? You were
happiness.
We'll redecorate the ballroom. Fresh paint, new curtains, musicians. Listen to the music, Roderick.
I am.
I'm gonna make you happy again.
Happy again. Yes, I know it.
You will be. Why have you stopped?
No. Can't you see it?
I see.
Standing there. Mock me.
I see nothing.
It's right now.
There is nothing. I
Who
see.
are you?
Stop it!
If you have ever felt anything, you must do as I ask.
Anything.
Leave this house tonight. Leave and never return. Please, I ask that you forget the name of Roderick Usher.
It's time.
Yes.
There, miss. Funerals are always a bad time.
I'll be all right.
Of course you will.
So, it has come to this. A vault within the walls of the Lady Madeline. Her domain from this night forth shall be this oblong box.
What was this place? That odor. It's overpowering.
They kept powder in here long ago.
They used the powder and other combustibles in attempts to drain the swamp.
Did you know that we were twins? The Lady Madeline and I? I'm sorry, I must look at her on the side. Sister, the smell still lingers on her lips.
Roderick, it's so cold here in the vault. The air is not good for you. It's hard to breathe.
I shall never look upon her face again. Farewell, my dear sister. Farewell, my dear Lady Madeline.
Oh, sir! Surely someone will say a few words.
You say the words, Lenore. You knew her, after all. I have my business to attend to. All right, it's finished.
Well, she had a favorite poem. It will suffice, I think, a few lines of it anyway. The lady sleeps, oh may her sleep, which is enduring so be deep. I pray to God that she may lie forever with unopened eye, as the dim-sheeted ghosts go by. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, lady dear, hast thou no fear? Why, and what art thou dreaming here?
gave my promise to Roderick. My mission here is finished. I failed.
I fear we have both failed.
The servants are leaving.
I know. Can't say I blame them. One or two have promised to remain, but who knows for how long.
You will be quite alone in this house. Aren't you afraid that you too will become lost in its shadows?
How odd you should say that. I've been fighting the most curious depression of my own for some time now. Roderick insists that the evil and sin of his ancestors have crept into the walls and given them life. I could almost believe it.
Then you intend to remain?
Yes, I gave my word to Dr. Fortunato. I expect him back any day now. He is searching for a cure for the Usher malady.
It will be too late for Madeleine.
I'm afraid so. The night is a poor time for traveling. Won't you stay until the morning?
No, I will leave at once. The sooner I leave this place, the happier I will be. I realize that now. Did you hear something?
No.
Listen.
What did you hear?
I thought I heard someone crying Roderick's name.
The stones settling, perhaps.
Perhaps. Well, goodbye, my friend. I wish you luck.
I will write if Roderick's condition changes for the better.
No. I wish to hear nothing more of Roderick Usher. I leave him to his fate.
Roderick Usher. Oh! Whenever I turn to look behind me, whenever I try to seek escape, you are there. Who are you? Is that how you greet an old friend? Friend? Oh, you are no friend of mine. Whoever, whatever you are, surely you recognize me. No. We two have been together for a very long time, have we not? If I could see your face, it would serve no purpose. You only need to look in the mirror. If I look into a mirror, I only see the reflection of this house. You must let me sleep, or I will devour you. You must suffer me to slumber, or perish. Do you have a name? I have no name in the regions in which I inhabit. I was mortal, but now I am fiend. Fiend? Oh, yes, I can believe that. I was merciless, but now I am pitiful, as you are pitiful. We are inseparable. Alright! No! I shatter! My teeth shatters! I speak! Yet it is gone for the chill of the night without end. I cannot rest for these great agonies that dwell beneath the tombstone. These thoughts are more than I can bear. Give me up! Give your name! Arise, I say! What do you want of me? I've done you no harm. You have created me! Never! Come with me into the outer nights and let me talk clean and break! Go away, I say! It'll be a spectacle of woe. Oh, it is you who are a spectacle of woe. Yes! See, grace! Then free me. I am not your keeper. Free me. I command it! I don't have the power to free you. No power to even set myself free. Then we shall go to the grave together. As one. As one. Please, in heaven's name, grant me this one mercy. Tell me who you are. Are you deaf? Are You a phantom that dwells in these walls. Do you come from the vapors of the swamp? Roderick Usher, stop this childishness. You know very well who I am. I do not. I am what every human being, man, woman, child, fears the most. I am the embodiment of dread itself. I am fear. Your fear. Your fear of the beyond. Do you think I do not know that your spirit is consumed by the secrets of the grave? Will you still pull away? You brought me to being. Only you have the power to banish me. Summon your courage, Roger Usher. Free me. In doing so, you'll release yourself from torment. I cannot do that. I do not have that power. These walls, they will not permit it. Then we shall meet again at the cold embrace, the icy welcome of the tomb. No. So be it. I beg of you, please. Do not blame me for your existence. Do not blame me. Confess. I have none. None to give.
Centuries of pride and wealth, privilege and vanity.
We will be leaving now, sir. We are the last, I'm afraid.
The house is empty, except for you and the master.
There's nothing I can do to dissuade you.
We've stayed as long as we dare. If you remain, something terrible will happen.
She's right, sir. You have to think of yourself.
I'm quite capable of caring for myself.
I haven't slept a wink these last days, not since the funeral.
Oh, I must say this. It's the best I've done. I want your opinion, my friend.
Roderick, the last of the servants are leaving.
Oh, that is their affair.
Goodbye, Mr. Usher. Goodbye, sir.
You'll be caught in the storm.
We'd rather be caught in the rain than in the walls.
Thank you for everything you've done. How exactly do you propose to manage this house without servants?
The fewer people in the house, the better I like it. So nuisance, they gossip and lie.
Roderick, that is unfair. Your retainers were more than faithful. I've been leafing through the family album. The Ushers bear an uncanny resemblance to one another.
As one wolf resembles another. When you're with the pack, you have no choice but to have. They were not the noblest of men and women, and they had quite a lot to answer for. Oh, come and see this. Come on, get up, come on. What do you think of it?
Well, I'm no judge of art, Well, it's a long tunnel. Low walls.
Yes, come on.
There's no escape from this tunnel. And there's no light. However, it's bathed in a sort of ghostly white splendor.
It's a tomb, don't you see? A tomb imprisoned by the walls of Usher.
It's most unusual.
Unusual? Is that all you can say? Oh, I see. You like it. Ah, it's pointless. Like everything I do. I have a headache.
Dr. Fortunato left some medicine.
No.
I'll read to you. That usually helps.
Oh, yes, I quite like that. The sound of the human voice is hardly tolerated these days.
Roderick!
Did you hear that?
You know that the wind whistling through the walls can sometimes sound like the human voice.
Don't patronize me! I'm sorry. Forgive me. I have no right to shout at you. It's probably the storm. It's quite close and it's...
It looks to be an electrical storm from all sides.
Well, in that case, you shall read, I will listen. So we will pass away this terrible night together. So, what is the book called?
A romance of Sir Lancelot Canning. Mad Tryst.
Mad Tryst. How appropriate. I remembered when we studied it back in school together.
Shall I begin where Ethelred the hero forces his way into the hermit's dwelling?
Forgive me. Go on.
And Ethelred, who was by nature of a doughty heart, and who was now mighty withal on account of the powerfulness of the wine which he had drunken, waited no longer to hold parley with the hermit, who in sooth was of an obstinate and maliceful turn.
Roderick!
There it was again! Surely you've heard it this time!
It's the storm that's upsetting you, Roderick. Try to relax. Feeling the rain upon his shoulders, and fearing the rising of the tempest, uplifted his mace outright, and with blows made quickly room in the plankings of the door for his gauntleted hand.
Have you not seen it?
Seen what?
Storm in its full fury. It's violent and uncontrolled. A storm about a house of Usher agitates, vagrants, glows, unnatural light.
No, Roderick, it is a natural phenomenon, not uncommon. Now, pulling therewith sturdily, he so cracked and ripped and tore all asunder, that the noise of the dry and hollow-sounding wood alarmed and reverberated throughout the forest.
Ripped and tore all asunder, dry and hollow-sounding wood. Oh, does that not remind you of something?
The story I'm reading.
Torn open from within.
It appears Mad Tryst was a poor selection.
Oh, Mad Tryst is an appropriate selection, fitting in every way possible. Aha! So you do hear it! Now, and that's you yourself apostolate of truth.
It was the sound of a woman calling your name.
It is the Lady Madeline.
Nonsense.
Oh, I have heard it. Many minutes, many hours, many days I've heard it. Oh, pity me, miserable wretch that I am. I shall never be forgiven. Oh, do you not understand what we've done? We are but living in a tomb. I heard those feeble movements from that hollow coffin. I heard them many days ago. I dare not speak. I've heard the rending of a coffin, the grating of the iron hinges of a prison. I've heard the footsteps on the stairs. What is he not doing? Is he not waiting? The building for my haste. I tell you that right now. She stands before us without the door.
House of Usher.
I knew something wicked would happen.
What?
I can barely make up the house. What's left of it.
Not a stone standing.
First Madeline, then Mr. Roderick, now the house itself.
It's the doctor.
I've arrived too late. Surely no one could have survived what happened to that house. A wild light seemed to come from the cellars and split the place in two. Still, I must investigate. There's some chance Roderick and his sister might have escaped.
Madeline Usher died days ago, Dr. Fortunato.
Oh, what a pity. I'm so close to the cure. The other servants.
All gone, days ago.
There's Mr. Roderick's school friend. He's still at the house.
We must see if he survived.
You want us to go back there?
Yes, I want you to go back. I may need your help. A man's life may be at stake.
Very well, Doctor.
Whatever you say.
Quickly!
But evil things in robes of sorrow assail the monarch's high estate. Ah, let's mourn for tomorrow shall dawn upon his desolate. But round about his home the glory that blushed and bloomed is but a dim remembered story of the old time entombed. And travelers now within that valley through the red litten windows see vast forms that move fantastically to a discordant melody, while a ghastly rapid river through the pale door, a hideous throng must out forever. The walls of Usher are no more.
I shall never forget the many solemn hours I spent with the master of that incredible mansion. But, in the end, as he always must, the conqueror alone wins. He alone is the hero, the victor in the tragedy of the plain man. The angels, all pallid and wan, they confirm this. When I saw the Lady Madeline in her funeral gown, I fled aghast. As I crossed an old causeway, I looked back to see the light breaking through the walls of the house, like a fierce whirlwind, like an angry satellite. My brain reeled as I saw the mighty walls rushing asunder. There was a shouting sound, like the voice of 1,000 waters, and the swamp closed sullenly and silently over the fragments of the house of Usher.
The doctor and the others found you safe?
Yes.
Roderick, the lady Madeline.
Their bodies were never recovered. The house was all but robbed.
Then my friend, we must consider the wholly natural catastrophe that destroys the house.
Were you suggesting something else?
The supernatural?
I suggest nothing. I merely
Well, it's obvious that Roderick Usher was insane.
Was he?
Did he know the Lady Madeline was alive when he put her in the tomb?
I am convinced of only one thing regarding those final moments. That when the Lady Madeline reached out in that last, final, horrible gesture, the shock of it was too much for Roderick to bear. He died, and she followed within a breath.
Your story is more frightening than the one reported in the newspaper. There it is again.
I must go to her.
I never heard the likes of that experience.
I remember you all talking. The only thing I hear on the walls are mice.
There are no mice at the Raven.
What do you make of him, Mr. People? Is he a charlatan?
I think not. He's a most remarkable man. Oh, he has a way with fluff. I've no doubt that he avoided some of the facts, although I'm inclined to accept an element of truth.
What element?
Premature burial, I believe, would be involved.
I don't think I could stand it. To awaken a tomb?
You said you suspected the case in the newspaper was murder.
Yes, but the case of Roderick Usher was quite different. He had nothing to gain materially by shoving his still away. The lawyer, on the other hand, had much to gain from his wife's estate. No, the secrets of Roderick Usher will be forever locked in his tortured mind.
I'm grateful that Roderick fellow never stated this in. Brooding, disagreeable fellow.
Careful, he's coming back.
Oh, sir, are you sure the lady should be up and about?
I must lose no more time. A life hangs in the balance.
The lady, is she your sister?
Oh, she's not even having it.
The lady is my wife.
Doctor, it's useless.
I will manage. I will manage if I have to crawl.
It's an hour before dawn. It's still dark outside and raining.
What must be, must.
Sir, what is the nature of your wife's malady?
That is none of your concern.
Forgive me, I meant no insult. Permit me an observation. From your story, I glean a hint of melancholia. Does your wife suffer from his malady that consumed Madeline?
Yes, she too has fallen victim to that dreaded lethargy. And unless I find help soon, she too is doomed.
That's tragic.
It is not life itself tragic. I go to the one person who offers any chance at salvation. I cannot delay. Delay could prove fatal. I go to Dr. Fortunato. He resides on the post road to Washington.
I wish you success. I'm only sorry you could not have talked longer.
I am most intrigued by our story of murders in the Rue Morgue. Hopefully one day we'll meet again. Till then, I may write about it.
Write about it?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
I told you he was in the theatrical profession. He made up that silly yarn to frighten us. He's a storyteller. Or wants to be. Rubbish if you ask me. It didn't scare me for an instant. Hogwash, all of it.
What was his name?
Hope it's not Usher.
It's here, in the ledger. Let me see now.
There it is. Where about Mr. Dupont signature?
Ah, yes. Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. With a scary imagination like that, I don't think many people will buy your stories.
You may be right.
I doubt if we'll ever hear of him again.
Edgar Allan Poe has made me very happy.
What?
How has he made you happy?
I've got my room back!
Aw.